Assalamu alaikum and good day everyone. I am Familah Radia and together with my group mates, we will be reporting the Assemblies in the chapter 15 of Haywood's book The Politics.
So what is an assembly? Ano nga ba ang tinatawag na assembly? So an assembly is described as an essential part of the government where representatives, either elected or appointed, come together to discuss and make decisions for the country. So assemblies are often called legislatures, parliament, or congresses depending on the country. Their main purpose is to create laws, represent the people, oversee the government, and provide a space for public debate.
So now, let us know what are the differences among the parliamentary system, presidential system, and semi-presidential system. So in the parliamentary system, this is where the executive is chosen from and accountable to the legislature. So the prime minister and their team are elected from the parliament and they must maintain the support of the majority of parliament members to stay in power. So if they lose this support, they have to step down and new elections may be called. While in the presidential system is a type of government where the president is elected and separately from the legislature and is not dependent on its support to remain in power. So the president has a clear independent role in running the country. So if the legislature and president disagree, it can lead to conflicts, but the separation of powers prevents too much control by one branch. While in semi-presidential system naman, is a type of government that combines the both presidential and parliamentary system. So in this system, there is both a president and a prime minister. So the president and the prime minister may share power, but sometimes their relationship can be complex depending on the balance of power between them. So what are the meaning of the responsible government, elective dictatorship, lobby father, immobilism, checks and balances, and the super presidentialism? So in responsible government, this refers to a system where the executive is accountable to the legislature and through it to the people. So if they don't have enough support from the parliaments, they have to step down and the people may get a chance to vote for a new leaders. In the elective dictatorship, this refers to a situation where a government, particularly in a parliamentary system, has such strong control over the legislative process that it operates almost like a dictatorship. So even though the leaders are elected by the people. While in lobby father, these are politicians who automatically vote in line with their party's wishes without questioning or debating the issues. So they do what their party leaders tell them to do, even if it means going against their own beliefs or the preferences of their constituents. Immobilism naman refers to a situation where there is little or no progress or change. This happens when different political groups or branches of government are so divided or stuck in conflict that they are unable to make decisions, pass laws, or take action. While in checks and balances is a way of making sure that no one is a part of government that has too much power. So each part of the government can check or limit what the others do. This system helps keep everything fair and prevents one group from taking over or making decisions without being watched or controlled by others. While in super presidentialism is when a president becomes too powerful, almost like a dictator, and has control over most government decisions without being properly limited by other branches of government. So this makes the president the dominant force in politics and the usual checks and balances that keep power in check or weak or ineffective. In the concept separation of powers, this concept refers to dividing government power into three branches, which is the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. So each branch has its own role and authority, and they act as checks on each other to prevent any one branch from becoming too powerful. And now, let us proceed to the key thinker, Charles Louis de Secondat Montesquieu. So this thinker is best known for his work on the separation of powers. So he believed that power should not be controlled by just one person or group because that could lead to tyranny. So instead, he suggested that the government should be divided into three separate branches: the executive, legislature, and the judiciary.
Good morning, everyone. I am Sittie Ailah di Mauna from Section CC, and I'm going to discuss to you about the assemblies in decline and the rise of assemblies. So now let's begin with the assemblies in decline. So the debate about the decline of assemblies like parliaments or legislative bodies has been around for a long time, since the late 19th century. People have been worried that the power of executives like presidents or prime ministers and bureaucracies like government agencies is growing at the expense of these assemblies. Historically, thinkers like Locke and Montesquieu believed that assemblies were essential for responsible and fair government. However, the idea that strong assemblies always lead to good governance is not necessarily true. Sometimes assemblies can become too powerful, causing problems like inaction and gridlock, where nothing gets done. In the 20th century, many agree that the influence and importance of assemblies have declined and shifted, but it's unclear whether this means they are in decline overall or if their roles and functions are simply changing. So the principal factors that have brought about these changes are the emergence of disciplined political parties, the growth of big government, and the organizational weakness of assemblies, and the rise of interest group and media power. So for the emergence of disciplined political parties, since the late 19th century, the rise of mass membership political parties has changed how assemblies like parliaments work, often in negative ways. First, as political parties became more organized and disciplined, individual members of the assembly lost their ability to represent their constituents or the people who elected them freely. So instead of using their own judgment, they had to follow their party's decisions. This means that political parties, not the assemblies, became the main way people are represented, relying on the idea of a mandate where a party feels it has the right to enforce its policies. So additionally, in-party loyalty has made assemblies less effective as places for open debate. So in parliamentary systems, most assembly members feel loyal to their party, which usually means they are also loyal to the current government formed by their party leaders. Instead of keeping the executive in check, many assemblies end up supporting or defending the government, making them less critical and less effective. So for the growth of big government, so the term big government refers to the growing role of government, especially in areas like social welfare and managing the economy. So the expansion of government's role in society has also contributed to the decline of assemblies. So as government has taken on more responsibilities and expanded its regulatory reach, it has become increasingly complex and bureaucratic. This has made it challenging for assemblies to effectively oversee and manage government activities, leading to a perception of diminished legislative power. So, for the organizational weakness of assembly or the lack of leadership, as we all know, assemblies like parliaments have some organizational problems because they are made up of many members who all have equal rights to vote and speak in debates. While this equal representation can be good, it also makes it hard for assemblies to provide strong leadership and work together effectively. So this issue has become more serious today because people expect that the government to solve social problems and manage the economy while also engaging in international issues. So in contrast, political executives like presidents or prime ministers are usually better positioned to provide strong leadership. So for the interest group and media power, so power and public attention have shifted away from assemblies like parliaments to political executives like presidents and to outside interest groups. So the growing influence of interest groups and media has further eroded the power of assemblies. Interest groups with their specialized knowledge and resources can exert significant pressure on legislators, often shaping policy decisions to favor their own interests. Similarly, the media's ability to shape public opinion and influence political discourse can impact the agenda of assemblies and the way they are perceived by the public. So now let's move on to the rise of assemblies. So some people believe that the idea of assemblies like parliaments declining is too negative. And oversimplified. So instead of just saying they are less important, it might be better to recognize that their role in politics has changed significantly. While it's true that assemblies have lost some power as lawmaking and policy developing bodies, many agree with the scholar Blundell 1973 that they have become more important as places for communication. More assemblies are allowing television cameras into their meetings and sharing more information online, which helps them connect better with the public. So this increased visibility makes them stronger as places for debate and supervision. In this sense, the media can help enhance the importance of assemblies rather than diminish them. So there's also a growing trend to make assembly work more professional, which could improve their effectiveness and public image. So that is all for the rise of assembly. So my question to you is, does the decline of assemblies necessarily weaken representation and accountability? So that's all for our report. Thank you for listening.